Hey guys, this is John Riddell. I'm the principal software engineer here at Platform9, leading our UI and UX efforts. We recently did a very large redesign and deployment of our application, and I wanted to just take a moment to walk you through it and show you a few of the really cool features that we've worked on. One of the first things that we did was I wanted to have different themes for our application because of our user base is a mixture of developers and managers and DevOps engineers. We wanted to present something that was a little more flexible and had a bit more customizability to it so that our different users could use it how they would like to. This defaults to your system theme settings. So if you have dark mode on your browser, for instance, then we would automatically load you into a dark mode application. When you land on our dashboard page is more or less an overview of how the system is running from a kind of a bird's eye view. What are your clusters and what's the health of them? What nodes you have in your system, cloud providers, pods, deployment services, all of that kind of stuff. One of the things that we really wanted to address was how you navigate through the application. Problem that you would see, the more pages you want to present in a given view, the less real estate you have to actually present it, because everything was more or less done in a horizontal fashion. And so what we did was, you go to workloads, for instance, you can see we've updated our sidebar to put most of the navigation directly into our sidebar here, utilizing more vertical space versus horizontal space across the top with tabs. We're presenting breadcrumbs here to give you a lot of detailed information as to where you are and where you've navigated, and also to let you click on them and navigate back out if you'd like to. If we click into a given pod, we've overhauled the dashboard page of a given entity like a pod to present a lot of relative information that's associated to it. So for a pod, for instance, what containers does it have? What services is it attached to? Are there any ingresses or PVCs for it? What's the metadata for this? If there are config maps, we would present those there as well. You can also go and view any events for this, if there are any, logs, if there are logs for this pod. And then you can also go to the YAML to view the YAML for this and change or affect the YAML file for this pod and save that. With that, you can update a given pod and its given deployment. Logs also lets you go into a detailed view where you can kind of get into a full screen presentation of all of the logs. You can see there's quite a few that get streamed into here, and more would come in as they come in. One thing that I wanted to show, actually while I stay on workloads, we have redone all of our component bases. So before we used Material UI, and we were noticing there were performance issues with Material UI when we were rendering really large data sets, a whole lot of content. Things started lagging up in the application, and we really needed to take out those components that had a whole bunch of excessive things like flashy animations and stuff that were more or less slowing down the way the browser performed. And with that new component set, one of the things that we did was we also updated how we load and present data in the application, so that when I'm inside of a form and I'm trying to create something, if I invalidly create something like giving a pod name, putting a space in there, for instance, would fail on the request to Kubernetes, because this is more or less a unique identifier for this pod, and it cannot have a space in the name. So if I hit submit and say go ahead and add it, you'll see you get a message that's integrated into the current form that tells you what the problem is, lets you fix it, and then hit submit again. Right? I could say Redis Django test, and I can hit submit, and this way it'll actually create that entity for me, and I should be able to find it. Here it is, and you can see it's pending, it's currently being created. We let developers and users of the application go into their account and actually change what theme they want to use very easily. You can see there's a few different ones that we have as presets here. And with enterprise users, you can customize and actually go into a more custom theme if you'd like to make tweaks to different bits of how it looks, and add white labeling into the actual application and add your own logo and all that kind of stuff. But if you go into a integrated flow, like I'm going to add a cluster, and I, am going through a really big flow of data through here, and I finally get to that finalize and review step. I filled in a lot of different fields and there's some error here, we'd want to integrate that error message and present it up here versus taking you out of this wizard and moving you back into a list page or some other view, and then you have to come, once you see what the error is via a notification or a toast notification, you then have to come back into here and actually create that item. And refilling out all those fields is just a pretty bad piece of user experience, and so we wanted to really improve that. The other thing with this experience inside of our wizards, when you're creating some really complicated entity, we wanted to really help you focus on creating that entity versus having a lot of other things that are happening around in the application, like notifications that would pop up, or even the sidebar with all the navigation. If I'm in the middle of creating something, I don't need to go into those navigational steps. I'm in the middle of creating this, and we really wanted to help you focus on that and give you a more full screen experience of this while you're creating entities. Feel free to sign up. We have a free offering where you can try it yourself. We also have a public Slack channel that you can use and give us feedback. If there's things that you think should change or bad experiences that you're having, let us know. We'll be happy to take that feedback into account and make changes to the application. Thanks, everyone.